Right, how you going, guys? So I just thought I might do a little video, short one, kind of. Actually, because there was a Facebook post come up, like a memory post, that comes up on, your Facebook stuff, stuff that you've done over whatever years. Come up yesterday that it's been 17 years since I got the photo taken with Sir Anthony Hopkins on the beach in Invercargill filming The World's Fastest Indian. And I thought, I've actually been meaning to do a video on this over time and just sort of tell a little bit what went on. I actually wish I had some other books and bits and pieces here, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, in 2004, about this time of year, actually in November, so last month, but because we took that photo, yeah, that would have been, it was getting near the end of the filming, I think. So yeah, I spent 9 days on the set of The World's Fastest Indian in 3 different locations. We were going to do a 4th one, but they pulled the pin on that sort of last minute. But in The World's Fastest Indian, I'm in that movie. I was one of the Arctic Angels or Antarctic Angels, whatever they call themselves. It was kind of a gang down here, but not really. They sort of used their name, but modified it a little bit. I don't know whether they were in the 60s or not, but so the movie's based in 62, The World's Fastest Indian. Barrett obviously went to Bonneville and whatever. He'd been actually racing for years and years, basically since he bought the bike. I think it was 22, whatever it was. So yeah, not long after that, sort of maybe 24 or 25 or whatever it was, after he bought the bike and rode it around for a few years, he started modifying it, making the thing faster and faster and faster and faster. Like he had been to Australia, and I think he'd been to the UK. I've read his books. There's been quite a few books written about him, told from different stories from different people. One of the real good ones is actually from George Begg, who helped, built cars with Bruce McLaren and against Bruce McLaren, in like Formula One and different things. But he wrote a book about him. That's really, really, really good. Like it's hard to put down. If I remember, I'll put a picture up. But yeah, he'd done all sorts of things all over New Zealand and Australia and UK, and obviously the States, doing all sorts of different things. But yeah, like that bike, I think, as it says in the movie, like it did 50 something miles an hour when it was new. And by the time he had finished with it in 70, whatever it was, 70 something, when he last really put it through its paces in the early mid-70s, I suppose, because he died in 78, at 78 years old, because he was born just before the turn of the century. But yeah, oh God, I'm trying to think what I'm saying here. Yeah, he went to the States, and obviously he didn't break 200 miles an hour both ways, but he definitely broke 200 miles an hour in one direction. There's one story in The World's Fastest Indian, I can't remember what year it was, but it was later than 62, which is when the movie's based. They've used bits and pieces from different years, little bits and stories, to try and make a whole story of different parts for the movie, if you know what I mean. Like they've sort of dragged it into one year. Not all of it's true, because they put fillers in there to build the story up, obviously, just give it some base. But yeah, the basics are there, and some of it's been dragged from other years, from what I can remember reading the books. But I can't remember what year it was. It might have been like 65 or 66 or something like that when he went there. And he had modified the shell to be longer and whatever, to try and get more speed out of it and more stable. But they reckon he went through the traps. Because what actually happened, I think he got this big weave on, and how wide the markers are when you watch the movie, and obviously might have seen footage of them running through Bonneville, so they've got the tiny marks every was it even a mile, half mile, or whatever it is. He went through 2 traps and missed one because he was that swerving that much sideways trying to get this thing under control. But he actually went through those 2 traps at over 220 miles an hour, I think it was, in that freaking thing. That's fucking crazy. Like, you read the stories. Yeah, that's what they estimated it, because they took the time lapse from between one to the other and missed one. I think, yeah, missed 1 mile mark, and yeah, they reckon he was doing excessive 220 on that frickin' thing. Crazy bastards. But anyway, yeah, so I spent 9 days filming. I think spent 3 on the haul scene when they bust in. So the initial pieces that we did was riding up, and then we bust into the haul, and then we challenged Bert to the race on the beach and whatever. So we spent 3 days filming that, and it's quite funny. The leader in the gang, who's was an actual proper actor, the rest of us were just extras that come along with the motorbikes. And you see in the movie where he hits the beer out of the hand, and that actually happens by accident, and they left it in because it was. They actually said after that shot, they said, "Man, that was just beautiful. We know that wasn't meant to happen, but it was just perfect, you know. It was just one of those things. We went to, brush the guy's side and actually smacked his beer and covered the extra, and or the guy in his beer, which was, I think, was some freaking crazy like. One of the guys actually said on the movie when they were holding them, they said they were. No, because you every now and again you look down and you think it was beer and you think, geez, I'm dry, and you have a wee sip of it. It was like, they said it was that sugary and syrupy, like you said you would never drink it. That's because it was just whatever this fake stuff was to look like beer, and to look like that for 5 or 6 hours at a time, look like a fresh beer. They said it was absolutely disgusting, because every now and again you would forget, and you think, oh shit, I need a drink, I'm getting dry in here. And you'd take a sip of it, you'd just about to vomit. So it was funny. But yeah, we spent 3 days filming that, and then we did the beach scene, which was, I think it was 9 in total. Pretty much that last scene when you see us at the gas station, that was sort of half a day filming. Might have been a little bit longer than that. But yeah, the beach scene was basically sort of 4 or 5 days, I guess. Yeah, it'd be about 5 days, and I think we finished it on the beach, and then we went and did that. I'm trying to remember, because it's freaking long ago now, it's 17 years. Yeah, I think we might have finished, and then went and done that garage scene where he filled up the fuel before he went to the boat in Timaru. But yeah, I did 200 miles on the beach on that Triumph Thunderbird, which is Dad's, and wore out a chain, lost a tail light, one of the caps that cover the rockers on the motor, lost one of them. I'm trying to think what else. Lost a tail light, one of those caps, they had to replace that. Yeah, wore out a chain that was brand new. Dad had not long put a brand new chain on that bike, and it destroyed it doing 200 miles on that beach, up and down the beach. Poor things. Yeah, they didn't really deserve what they did on the movie, but they handled it, because they undercranked the camera, so it looked like we were going faster, but we were still doing like 50 or 60 miles an hour at the beach when Bert blew through between us, probably doing maybe 100, 110, the stunt rider. But yeah, shit there, that because that was a replica bike that was built as close as they could possibly get to Bert's bike, but probably a little bit more reliable than Bert's, because it was built with a bit more modern technology into the materials, I guess. But yeah, shit, that thing was quick. Compared with those that were modern bikes at the time, like there was an aerial square 4 there and all sorts of things. They were pretty quick bikes for their time. Like the Triumph was, Dad's Triumph was got hot cams in it and high compression pistons and all sorts of stuff. So it's not stock, but it's not wouldn't say it's modified either, you know, like the motor's not completely stock. It was Dad always built it with a little bit more pulling pad because it had a side chair on the side of it a lot of the time, or a sidecar. So yeah, like it wasn't stock, so, but like there's no way you could keep up with that bike that he built. There's no way. Like most of the time when I was accelerating away, you know, we were pretty much full throttle, you know, winding up to about 60 miles an hour, and then we'd sit there sort of thing, and I just crank the camera a little bit so it looked like we were doing, you know, maybe 80 or 90 miles an hour down the beach, sort of type thing, and then it looked like Bert, instead of probably doing 100 miles an hour, you know, doing 150, 160 miles an hour down the beach. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know how many times we reshot that scene and done it from different camera angles, and then, oh man, like, they'd use different gear, they'd follow us, you know, they'd have a truck in front of us and we'd follow down, and then they'd have the truck behind us and follow down the truck from beside us, and then they'd have bikes with cameras on them, like replicating Bert, and then they'd have, one of us would get out and they'd run that bike down with us, you know, and they'd film that, and just to get, you know, 50 or 60 different shots of that one scene, racing down the beach, and Bert falling off the end, and then us going back up. Yeah, like, they would have shot that, yeah, I don't know, 50 or maybe 100 times, easy, I would think, just from every camera angle and different portions of it, and like, you know, just the start, you know, I don't know, we must have done 30 times, you know, just pulling away and then breaking back around, set up again, and changing the camera position, pulling away, change the camera's position, and, you know, with the crowd there, like, you know, probably half a dozen with the crowd there, you know, cheering at the start, and all that sort of stuff. It's just crazy, like how many times you do something. Well, it's like the horse thing, yeah, like I don't know how many times we've walked in, busting in, just that initial busting, you know. But we've probably done that 20 times, just like the first dozen steps into the hall without walking right up to the front. You know, so they can get a camera angle from behind and front and sides, and, you know, it's just crazy. Like, you just don't realise what's involved in it. Yeah, and then the gas pump, when they filled up fuel, was me and another guy, which were on the opposite side of the car near the front, and it was a bit of a pain in the butt. It was funny. We thought we might have been in camera shot, but we weren't quite, and we just thought for a laugh. We said to each other, said, oh, we'll use the wrong hand for throttle, you know, because we're sitting there revving the bikes, and they overlaid that sound of us revving the bikes. We sort of did it the one time, as they said they should come in, you know, and they filmed it without the car there, and you know, have us revving the bikes to pick all the sounds up. And then we come in and we just had to mimic it, you know, just shut the bikes and then mimic it the next time, or if we were just sitting there static, mimic it. Yeah, and we thought, oh, well, every time we did it, we just did it for a laugh to do it with the wrong hand, just to see if it would ever come up in the film. You know, just silly little things like that. But shit, yeah, we had I would say it was probably the best 9 days, you know, of ever doing that sort of stuff. But shit, there was a lot of times it was really boring too, because you're just sitting there going, right, you know, wait 3 hours to come back on set again to do it, because they'd be filming something else and we just have to sit there and, you know, wait and talk and whatever. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. Like, I don't know, I probably sat at a table with Anthony Hopkins and had, you know, whether it was lunch or tea or breakfast or whatever, depending what time they were shooting, you know, at a table with him, you know, and have conversations, you know, even with a group of us, you know, probably done that 2 or 3 times. And the other actors as well, but it was pretty cool. I've got we all got a signed photo from him saying thanks, you know, from Anthony Hopkins saying thanks and all that sort of stuff. So it was a really, really cool experience. Would I do it again? Yeah, probably would. But yeah, I don't know if I'd shoot a whole film. It was pretty full on, and just time-consuming shit. You know, like, I think the hall scene, you know, we'd done that during the day and during the night. They'd basically blacked out the hall, so they could basically film all day and all night. You know, some people were there, the extras were there, actually in the hall, they were there for freaking hours, like probably 17 or 18 hours standing in that hall doing the same thing, you know, the same shot, but you know, obviously different sections of it, of that thing, filming it. But they were there before we got there. We spent 3 days there doing the bike part of it, but they were there for, I don't know, like 2 weeks filming that hall party scene, you know, all the different angles of that, just to get what all was there, you know. They were there for, I think they were there for 2 weeks, those guys. So they were there for, yeah, like at least a week and a half before we spent the last 3 days there, or the 3 days there doing that. But it was crazy, you know. It's funny how long it takes to film a film, you know, with all the different angles and stuff like that, you know. And you might only film for 20 seconds and stop, you know, just to get one particular shot, you know, of a different angle, you know. And you might do that 10 times from 10 different angles, and yeah, like, and they're only getting a 20-second clip and then slicing it all together. So yeah, anyway, so that's my experience doing that film. I know Dad did a little bit with it too, because they filmed some in the local area, but I don't know how much they actually used in the film, because they had a whole heap of old vehicles and trucks and bits and pieces driving around. So Dad was, because of the truck museum at the time, Dad was working for them. Yeah, he had bought a lot of old trucks and bits and pieces around, so he was driving stuff around because when he went to the bank to get the money to go to America, that was filmed here in Winton, in the local town. So, and I know Dad was in the street doing some stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever seen him in it, or much, like there wasn't much used of the street scene, if you know what I mean. Like, it was sort of, they probably filmed it thinking that we might have used bits and pieces, but you know, it probably all ended up on the cutting room floor, I'd imagine. But yeah. So anyway, that'll do. That's my little experience of filming the world's fastest Indian, and it's been 17 years since the Facebook, or the photo I put on Facebook years ago. Yeah, it's been 17 years yesterday since that photo was taken. Got a bit grey and a bit older since then. Alright guys, cheers.